The massive Tannel ship emerged from the depths of space like a gleaming silver fish, reflecting the sun's light as it slid into Earth's orbit. Inside, Fleet Commander Do Wan stood before the view screen, his slender four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. The blue-green planet filled the display, beautiful but unremarkable to his experienced eyes. "Another primitive world," he said to his science officer, Hyun Ki. "Their technology is barely past the nuclear age." Hyun Ki nodded, adjusting his lightweight exosuit. "They still use combustion engines and have only visited their own moon. The Collective Council believes they may be useful laborers, nothing more." Do One had led first contact missions to 12 worlds in his career. Earth would be the 13th, and from all reports it would be the simplest. Humans communicated constantly, broadcasting their weaknesses and divisions across space for anyone to hear. The Tennille had spent years studying these transmissions, learning Earth's languages and customs before revealing themselves. "Begin final approach," Do Wan ordered. "Standard diplomatic protocol, let's not frighten the locals." The ship's sensors began their deep scan of the planet's surface, mapping population centers and defensive capabilities. Suddenly, alarms blared.
"Across the bridge." "Sir," called out the navigation officer Jin Ho. "There's something wrong with our readings." Do Wan frowned. "Explain." "The planet's gravity. It's registering at 9.8 meters per second squared."
"Almost 3 times stronger than our homeworld." A hush fell over the bridge. The Tennille evolved on a planet with gravity only 1/3 of Earth's. Their bodies were tall and slender, with hollow bones and lean muscle, perfect for their world, but potentially dangerous on a heavy planet like Earth. "Check your instruments again," Do Wan said, disbelief coloring his voice. Jin Ho ran the diagnostics twice more. "Confirmed, sir. The humans live in what would be crushing gravity to us." Do Wan stared at the planet with new eyes. If humans had evolved in such conditions, what did that mean for their physical capabilities? For the first time, he felt a flicker of concern about the mission ahead. "Contact the humans," he decided. "Request landing coordinates and inform them of our arrival, and have engineering prepare additional anti-gravity units for the delegation. We'll need them." Within hours, governments across Earth scrambled to prepare for humanity's first alien visitors. The United Nations quickly designated a receiving facility outside Geneva, Switzerland. As the Tannel shuttle descended through the atmosphere, Do Wan felt the increasing pull of Earth's gravity, even through the ship's compensators. "Activate personal gravity shields," he instructed the 12 members of his delegation. Each Tannel tapped a device on their belt, surrounding themselves with a faint blue field that counteracted most of Earth's crushing pull. When the shuttle doors opened, Do Wan led his team down the ramp to meet the assembled human dignitaries. Even with the shields, he could feel the strain on his body. Every step required conscious effort. How did humans live like this every day? A broad-shouldered human stepped forward. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Sung Min. He was shorter than the Tannil, but solid in a way that spoke of dense, bone and muscle. "Welcome to Earth," Sung Min said, extending his hand in the greeting gesture the Tannil had observed in human broadcasts. Do Wan mirrored the motion, surprised by the firmness of the human's grip. "We bring greetings from the Tannil Collective, a union of 17 spacefaring species. We have traveled far to establish peaceful relations with humanity." As they walked into the facility, Do Wan noticed how effortlessly the humans moved while his own people glided carefully, each step measured to avoid strain on their bodies. Inside the main conference room, both delegations took their seats around a large oval table. "We've prepared this initial session to exchange cultural information," explained diplomat Ji Ho, a woman with calm eyes and a measured voice. "We have so many questions about your civilization." Do Wan nodded graciously. "As do we. Your world is unique in our experience." The meeting proceeded smoothly for nearly an hour. The Tennille presented information about their collective, careful to downplay their true military capabilities while showcasing their technological achievements. The humans listened with obvious fascination, asking intelligent questions that impressed Do Wan despite himself. Then disaster struck. A solar flare, larger than any recorded in recent history, sent a massive electromagnetic pulse toward Earth. The facility's lights flickered momentarily before emergency systems engaged, but the pulse had a more devastating effect on Tenil technology. One by one, their gravity shields failed. Du-Wan felt it first, a crushing weight suddenly pressing down on every inch of his body. He gasped, collapsing forward onto the table. Around him, his delegation crumpled like paper dolls, their slender frames unable to support themselves in Earth's natural gravity. Through pain-blurred vision, Du-Wan watched as the humans leapt to their feet. Instead of panicking, they moved with startling speed and coordination. Jiho was already calling for medical assistance while Sung-min himself lifted one of the fallen Tanil delegates, lifted him effortlessly, and placed him gently on a couch against the wall. "Get their medical officer," Sung-min commanded, his voice steady as he moved to help another fallen alien. Du-Wan struggled to breathe as a human doctor knelt beside him. The woman's strong hand supported his head with surprising gentleness. "Try to remain calm," she said. "We're working to restore your technology." As human emergency workers swarmed around the room, Du-Wan had a moment of perfect clarity. The Tenil had gravely underestimated these people. Any species that could evolve in this crushing environment wouldn't just be strong, they would be formidable beyond imagination. And if the collective had proceeded with their original plan of eventual conquest, they would have faced a species naturally armored by evolution itself. For the first time in his long career, Du-Wan felt something he had never experienced during a first contact mission: fear. Chaos filled the Geneva facility as medical teams rushed to assist the fallen Tenil delegates. Du-Wan struggled against Earth's crushing gravity, each breath a labor that sent pain through his chest. Around him, his people made pitiful sounds, whimpers and gasps as their bodies fought against a force they were never designed to withstand. Through his pain, Du-Wan watched in amazement as humans moved around the room with impossible ease. A human doctor named Su-Jin directed her team with calm efficiency, showing no strain whatsoever under the same gravity that was nearly killing the aliens. "We need to create makeshift gravity compensators immediately," she said, checking Du-Wan's vital signs with steady hands. "Their physiology can't handle our gravity for more than a few minutes." Jiho, the human diplomat, was already coordinating with Tanil engineers via video link to their orbiting ship. "Can you send us the technical specifications for your gravity shields? Our engineers might be able to replicate the technology." Du-Wan tried to respond but could only manage a weak nod. A young human technician named Taeho was kneeling beside him, examining the failed device on Du-Wan's belt. "The EMP fried the circuits," Taeho explained, opening the small device with a set of tools. "But the power source is still intact. I might be able to bypass the damaged components." While Taeho worked, Du-Wan observed the room through pain-clouded eyes. Human security personnel were carrying his delegation members to couches and tables where they could lie flat. Not struggling, not straining, just picking up adult aliens as easily as Du-Wan might lift a small child on his homeworld. One particular human caught Du-Wan's attention: a maintenance worker named Jun Seo, who had been fixing lights when the crisis began. The unassuming man now carried 2 Tanil delegates at once, one over each shoulder, moving with purpose across the room to where emergency medical equipment was being set up. How was this possible? The average Tanil adult weighed approximately 45 kilograms on their homeworld. Under Earth's gravity, that effectively tripled, yet this ordinary human carried 2 of them without visible effort. "Commander, try to stay still," said Su-Jin, injecting something into his arm. "This will help with the pain while we work on restoring your gravity shields." The medication spread cool relief through Du-Wan's body, though it did nothing to lessen the physical pressure crushing down on him. He managed to turn his head toward Hyun-Ki, his science officer, who lay nearby. Hyun-Ki's normally blue-tinted skin had paled to an alarming white. "The children," Hyun-Ki whispered. Du-Wan knew exactly what he meant. If adult Tanil could barely survive minutes in Earth's gravity, what kind of physical monsters must human children grow into? Every human on this planet developed from infancy under conditions that would crush a Tanil adult. Their entire physiology, muscles, bones, organs, all evolved to function under this relentless weight. A commotion at the door drew Do-won's attention as a team of human engineers rushed in carrying equipment. Leading them was a woman named Hyunji, her face focused with determination. "We've studied the technical data from your ship," she announced, directing her team to begin unpacking equipment. "We're setting up a localized gravity field that should create a bubble of reduced gravity in this section of the building." Taeho looked up from his work on Do-won's personal shield. "I've bypassed the damaged circuits, but I can't guarantee it will work at full capacity." "Try it," Soo-jin urged. "Even partial relief would help." Taeho activated the device. Do-won felt immediate, blessed relief as the crushing weight partially lifted from his chest. He could breathe more easily, though movement remained difficult. "It's working at about 40% capacity," Taeho said. "Better than nothing." Over the next hour, the humans worked with remarkable efficiency. Yoonji's team established a reduced gravity field in the conference room, while medical staff tended to the Tanel delegates. One by one, repaired personal shields were distributed to the aliens, allowing them to sit up and speak again. When Do-won finally regained enough strength to sit in a chair, he found himself facing Sung-min and Ji-ho across the conference table. The concern on their faces seemed genuine. "We deeply apologize for this incident," Sung-min said. "Had we known about your gravity requirements beforehand, we would have prepared appropriately." Do-won nodded weakly. "The fault is ours. We underestimated the differences between our worlds." Ji-ho leaned forward. "Your medical officer has shared some information about your physiology with our doctors. It seems your people evolved on a world with roughly 1/3 our gravity." "Yes," Do-won admitted. "We knew Earth's gravity was higher than our homeworld, but we failed to appreciate the practical implications. Our preliminary studies of humanity focused on your technology and social structures, not your physical capabilities." As he spoke, Do-won watched a young human security officer named Yoon-gi casually move a metal cabinet away from a wall so technicians could access a power outlet. The cabinet had to weigh at least 200 kilograms, yet the human pushed it with one hand while talking on his communication device. "Commander Do-won," Sung-min said, recapturing his attention, "I believe we have much to learn from each other, but first we need to ensure your delegation's safety and comfort. Our engineers suggest converting an entire wing of this facility to reduced gravity." Do-won nodded gratefully, but his mind was racing with new calculations. The Tanel Collective had classified Earth as a Class 3 planet, technologically developing but physically unremarkable. That assessment now seemed not just wrong but dangerously naive. In their natural environment, without technological assistance, humans would be unstoppable to Tanel physiology. Even the weakest human could overpower a Tanel warrior simply by virtue of having evolved under Earth's punishing gravity. "Is everything all right, Commander?" Ji-ho asked, noticing his distraction. Do-won composed himself. "Yes, I was just reconsidering certain assumptions we made about humanity." Outside, the window, Do-won noticed 2 human children playing in a courtyard, running and jumping with boundless energy. One of them leapt to catch a thrown ball, suspended momentarily in air before gravity reclaimed her, gravity that would kill a Tenniel in hours. In that moment, Fleet Commander Do-won made a decision. He would need to send an urgent, Priority 1, message to the Collective Council. Earth was not a Class 3 planet. Humans were not potential servants or simple allies. They were, without even realizing it, potentially the most physically formidable species the Tanel had ever encountered. 3. Days after the gravity shield failure, Do-won stood in a specially modified observation room. The humans had quickly converted an entire wing of the Geneva facility to maintain 1/3 Earth's normal gravity, still uncomfortable for the Tenniel, but manageable without technological assistance. Do-won pressed his hand against the reinforced glass window separating him from the normal gravity corridor beyond, watching the humans go about their daily routines. "How are you feeling today, Commander?" asked Ji-ho as she entered the observation room. Even through the gravity differential, He could see the natural grace in her movements, the unconscious strength in every gesture. Much improved, thank Da. You, Do-won replied. Your engineers have been remarkably accommodating. Ji-ho smiled. We've arranged several excursions for your delegation today, all from protected environments, of course. We thought you might appreciate seeing more of Earth while the technical teams work on more permanent solutions. The first destination was a military training facility just outside the city. From the safety of a modified transport vehicle with reduced internal gravity, Do-won and his science officer Hyun-ki watched human soldiers perform their morning exercises. This is merely routine training, explained their guide, Captain Junho. Nothing special. But to the Tanel observers, there was nothing routine about it. Soldiers ran 5 kilometers carrying packs weighing at least 20 kilograms, a weight that would require mechanical assistance on the Tanel homeworld. After running, they dropped to the ground and performed push-ups, supporting their entire body weight on just their arms. How many repetitions do they typically complete? Asked Hyun-ki, his scientific curiosity overcoming his usual reserve. For basic training, minimum 50 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, Junho answered casually. Better performers might do twice that. Do-won exchanged glances with Hyun-ki. The military implications were staggering. In lower gravity environments like Tanel ships or colonies, these humans would be capable of extraordinary feats, jumping several meters high, carrying massive loads, fighting with devastating force. Your species developed remarkable physical adaptations to Earth's gravity, Hyun-ki observed carefully. Junho laughed. We never think about it that way. This is just normal for us. That was perhaps the most unsettling realization. Humans didn't consider themselves exceptional. They had no idea of their potential physical advantage over many spacefaring species. Their next stop was a construction site in downtown Geneva. Through the transport's windows, they watched a worker named Taesung operating without powered assistance, carrying steel beams that would require mechanical lifters on any Tanel world. Our preliminary reports classified humans as physically unexceptional, Do-won admitted quietly to Hyun-ki. How did we get it so wrong? We evaluated them relative to other Earth species, Hyun-ki replied. Compared to their wildlife, they seemed unimpressive, not as strong as their elephants, not as fast as their cheetahs. We failed to consider the absolute environmental conditions. The afternoon brought them to a sporting complex where they witnessed humans engaged in various athletic competitions. A weightlifting exhibition particularly captured their attention. A powerfully built woman named Eun-ji approached a barbell loaded with metal plates. That's 150 kilograms, Ji-ho explained. Do-won did the mental calculation quickly. On his homeworld, that would equate to 450 kilograms. Impossible to lift without powered exoskeletons. Yet Eun-ji positioned herself under the bar, took a deep breath, and stood up with the massive weight resting across her shoulders. She squatted down and then drove herself back up, repeating the movement 3 times before returning the weight to its rack. And she's not even a professional, Ji-ho added, just a local enthusiast. After the gym, they visited a children's playground. This was perhaps the most eye-opening location yet. Young humans, some barely past toddling age, climbed metal structures and swung from bars, supporting their entire body weight with their undeveloped arms. They jumped from platforms and absorbed the impact of landing without injury. Some hung upside down, their developing bones and muscles already conditioned to resist Earth's pull. I have 3 nephews about that age, Ji-ho said, pointing to a group of children playing a game that involved jumping as high as possible. They're exhausting to keep up with. Do-won could only nod. Tanel children of equivalent age would barely be able to stand in this gravity, let alone run and jump. That evening, back in the modified conference room, Do-won prepared his report for the collective council. He had dismissed his aides, preferring to compose this particular message alone. To we, the honored council, he began, I must urgently request a complete reassessment of humanity's classification. While technologically still developing, they possess physical capabilities that would make them exceptional assets or formidable adversaries in the galactic community. He carefully outlined what he had observed, including detailed scans of human musculature and skeletal structure that the medical team had provided. He emphasized that humans considered their physical abilities ordinary. They had no concept of how they might compare to other intelligent species. Most critically, he continued, we must abandon any consideration of forced integration or conquest. Simulations based on new data suggest that in reduced gravity environments like our ships or colonies, humans would have physical capabilities bordering on the superhuman by our standards. A single human soldier could overpower multiple Tanal warriors without technological assistance. Duwan paused, considering his next words carefully. The collective had encountered 27 intelligent species in their exploration history. None had evolved on a world with gravity approaching Earth's. I recommend immediate diplomatic outreach with full technological exchange offers. Humanity would be better as an ally than as a potential adversary. Their physical adaptations to high gravity would make them invaluable partners for colonizing worlds previously considered uninhabitable. As he finished his report, Dowan gazed out the window at the night sky. In the 3 days since the gravity shield failure, his entire perspective had shifted. He had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species that would be easily impressed by Tanal technology, perhaps eventually serving as laborers or soldiers under collective guidance. Instead, he had found a species that, without even realizing, it had developed natural physical abilities that many in the galaxy would consider almost supernatural. If humans ever ventured to the stars in significant numbers, they would not be entering galactic society as supplicants or junior partners. They would be giants walking among the stars, whether they knew it yet or not. 6 months after first contact, Earth's first interstellar embassy opened aboard the massive space station Concordia, positioned at the edge of the solar system. Ambassador Minji stood at the viewport, watching as the human delegation ship docked alongside vessels from 17 other species. The station operated at 1/3 Earth's gravity, uncomfortable for humans, but a necessary compromise for interspecies diplomacy. Still getting used to feeling so light? Asked Dowan, who had become Earth's primary contact with the Tanal collective. Minji nodded. I keep bumping my head on doorways. It's like my body doesn't know when to stop moving. That was the understatement of the century. In the reduced gravity, humans discovered they could leap over 4 meters high without effort and lift objects that would require heavy machinery on Earth. Even the most careful human diplomats had accidentally damaged equipment or startled aliens with their seemingly superhuman abilities. Inside the main conference chamber, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the formal recognition of humanity's entry into the Galactic Confederation. Minji took her seat at the massive circular table, trying not to fidget in the specially reinforced chair designed to support her unusual density, as the Tanil engineers had delicately phrased it. The Confederation Chancellor, a gaseous entity, contained within a translucent orb, floated to the center of the chamber. We welcome our new friends from Earth to this historic session, it announced, its words translated through communication devices. The addition of humanity to our alliance brings exciting new possibilities for all our peoples. Minji noticed the subtle emphasis on exciting. In diplomatic speak, that meant potentially dangerous, but useful. She had quickly learned that most spacefaring species had evolved on worlds with gravity, ranging from 1/4 to 1/2 of Earth's. The Tanil were actually on the higher end of the spectrum among established galactic powers. After the formalities, Minji circulated through the reception, accompanied by her military attaché, Colonel Junho. As Earth's foremost expert on low-gravity combat techniques, Junho had become something of a celebrity in certain circles. A group of Vexil military officers approached, their elongated bodies swaying on thin limbs. Colonel Junho, their leader said, mandibles clicking with excitement. We have heard remarkable things about your training programs. Is it true that human soldiers can function effectively while carrying twice their body weight? Junho smiled, diplomatically. On Earth, that's standard for our special forces. In this gravity, we've had to recalculate all our training parameters. We would be most interested in an exchange program, the Vexil officer continued. Perhaps some of your instructors could visit our homeworld. Minji noticed that this was the fourth such request Junho had received in the past hour. Since the revelation of human physical capabilities, practically every species in the Confederation had been clamoring for human military advisors. Across the room, Dr. Yunji, Earth's leading xenophysiologist, was demonstrating a simple Earth exercise to an amazed group of scientists. In the reduced gravity, her one-armed push-ups looked effortless. "How many can you do on your homeworld?" asked a Meridian researcher. "About 30 before I get tired," Yunji replied. "Here, I haven't found my limit yet." The Meridian's color-shifting skin flushed deep purple, a sign of astonishment Minji had learned. Later that evening, Minji and her team gathered in their private quarters to discuss the day's events. "They're treating us like we're made of glass," complained Taesung, the embassy's security chief. "The station staff nearly had a collective heart attack when I offered to help move that sculpture for the reception." Minji nodded. "We need to be careful. Our natural strength here could easily be misinterpreted as threatening." "It's not just our strength," Dr. Yunji pointed out. "Our reaction times seem almost supernatural to them. I accidentally caught a falling glass today, and the Zarxi ambassador looked like he'd seen a ghost." Colonel Junho had been quietly reviewing data on his tablet. "We have 17 formal requests for human military advisors already. The Tanel want a full company of our Marines. The Vexel are offering advanced weapons technology in exchange for low-gravity combat training. And the medical requests are just as numerous," added Dr. Yunji. 3 species want to study human bone density and muscle fiber composition. The Meridians are particularly interested in our cardiovascular system's ability to function under varying gravitational pressures. Minji considered these developments carefully. In just 6 months, humanity had gone from an unknown species to perhaps the most sought-after ally in the Confederation, not because of their technology or resources, but simply because of the accident of evolution that had made them strong enough to stand up on a heavy world. "We need to be strategic about this," she said finally. "Our physical advantages give us diplomatic leverage we never expected to have as newcomers to galactic politics. The Tanil have amended their mutual defense proposal 3 times, Junho noted. Each version offers us more technology while asking for fewer human troops. They're practically begging for our help now." Minji wasn't surprised. Duwan had confided in her that initial Tanil assessments had classified Earth as a potential target for eventual annexation. That plan had been permanently shelved the moment they experienced Earth's gravity firsthand. A soft chime announced an incoming communication. Minji activated the screen to see Do-won's familiar face. "Ambassador Minji, I hope I'm not interrupting," he said. "But there's been an important development. The Confederation Security Council is voting tomorrow on establishing a rapid response force for border protection. They want humans to form the core of this force." Minji raised her eyebrows. "That's unexpected. We've barely joined the Confederation. Your physical capabilities make you uniquely suited for the role," Do-won explained. "A single human soldier can do the work of 5 Tanil or 3 Vexil troops in low-gravity environments. The economies of scale are impossible to ignore." After the call ended, Minji stood at the viewport again, watching the distant sun that was Earth's star, a tiny point of light from this far away. "Everything's happening so fast," Taesung said, joining her. 6 months ago, we didn't know aliens existed. Now they're treating us like we're some kind of, I don't know, space superheroes." Minji smiled. "Not superheroes. Just people who grew up on a world that would crush most of the galaxy's inhabitants. We never realized our burden was actually our greatest strength." As she looked out at the stars, Minji understood that humanity was entering the galactic stage not as the technological newcomers they'd expected to be, but as giants among the stars, powerful allies or formidable enemies, walking worlds that other species could barely stand upon, and all because of the simple fact that had shaped human evolution from the beginning. Earth's gravity had made them strong in ways they'd never imagined. 5 years after humanity's first contact with the Tanel, the New Geneva Cultural Center buzzed with activity. The massive building had been constructed specifically to accommodate multiple species, with gravity-controlled sections allowing comfortable movement for everyone from humans to the spindly Vexil. Today marked the 5th anniversary of Earth, joining the Galactic Confederation, and representatives from 23 species had gathered to celebrate. Do-1, now the permanent Tanel ambassador to Earth, adjusted his gravity shield as he entered the human normal section of the building. The technology had improved dramatically in recent years, now a simple bracelet rather than the bulky belt units of first contact. He still felt the strain of Earth's gravity, but it was manageable for diplomatic functions. Ambassador Do-1 called out a familiar voice. "I was hoping to find you here." He turned to see Jun-Ho approaching, dressed in the formal blue uniform of the Confederation Joint Defense Force. The human moved with the easy confidence that still amazed Do-1 after all these years, the natural grace of a being perfectly adapted to this crushing world. "Commander Jun-Ho," Do-1 greeted him, warmly. "Congratulations on your promotion. The Joint Defense Force flourishes under your leadership." Jun-Ho smiled. "Hardly my leadership alone. The Tanil tactical advisors have been invaluable." They walked together through the exhibition hall, where displays showcased the achievements of the past 5 years. One holographic presentation showed human and Tanil engineers working side by side on the first joint species colony ship. Another displayed the remarkable medical advances that had emerged from studying comparative xenophysiology. "Did you ever imagine we would come so far so quickly?" Jun-Ho asked. Do-1 shook his head. "Never. When our gravity shields failed, during first contact I was certain I would die on this heavy world. Instead, it was the beginning of the most important alliance in the Confederation's history." They paused before a large display showing the current deployment of the Joint Defense Force throughout Confederation space. Human troops formed the core of rapid response teams, their natural strength and endurance making them unmatched in variable gravity environments. Meanwhile, Tanil ships, with their superior propulsion technology, served as the fleet's backbone. "The Hive Collective has been quiet for almost a year now," Jun-Ho noted, pointing to a formerly contested border region. "Our analysts believe they've abandoned plans for expansion after the Battle of Proxima Station." Do-1 nodded. That battle had become legendary. A small contingent of human marines had held the station against overwhelming odds until reinforcements arrived. In the station's low gravity, the humans had demonstrated combat capabilities that had shocked both allies and enemies. "You know, we initially classified humanity as a potential target for conquest," Do-1 admitted quietly. "Our preliminary scans showed a technologically developing species with limited space travel capabilities." Jun-Ho raised an eyebrow. "And now?" "Now you're the species everyone wants as an ally, not for your technology but for what you are." Do-1 gestured around them. "You evolved on a world that would kill most intelligent species within hours, without technological assistance. That made you naturally armored against most environments in the galaxy." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Yoon-ji, who headed the Joint Species Medical Research Institute. She was accompanied by a Meridian scientist, the two deep in conversation about some technical matter. "Do-1, Jun-Ho," she called, waving them over. "We've just received approval for the gravity adaptation treatment. Full clinical trials begin next month." This was significant news. For years, Yoon-ji's team had been working on biological modifications that would allow different species to tolerate gravity ranges outside their evolutionary norms. If successful, it would revolutionize interspecies relations. "The early results are promising," the Meridian scientist added, her color-shifting skin pulsing with excited blue patterns. "With minimal genetic modification and a carefully calibrated drug regimen, we believe Tanil physiology can adapt to tolerate up to 70% of Earth gravity within 1 generation." "And humans?" Jun-Ho asked. "Humans are actually the easiest to adapt," Yoon-ji explained. "Since you evolved in high gravity, adapting to lower gravity requires less intervention. We've already had volunteers living continuously in Tanil normal gravity for up to 6 months with no negative health effects." As they discussed the implications, Minji approached their group, now serving as Earth's representative on the Confederation. High Council, she had become one of the most respected diplomats in galactic politics. "I see you've heard about the Gravity Adaptation Program," she said. The Council voted unanimously to fund it as the highest priority research initiative. "It will change everything," Do-Wan acknowledged. "Imagine a future where we can visit each other's homeworlds without technological assistance." The conversation paused as the main doors opened and a group of children entered, a mix of human and alien youngsters from the new International Xenocultural School. The human children moved carefully, clearly having been taught to restrain their natural strength and speed around their more fragile friends. Meanwhile, the alien children wore miniature gravity shields, allowing them to play alongside their human counterparts. "That's the future right there," Minji said softly, watching as a human boy helped a young Tanil girl who had stumbled. "The next generation won't remember a time before we knew each other." Do-Wan found himself reflecting on how dramatically things had changed. 5 years ago, the Tanil collective had viewed humans as primitive creatures ripe for eventual subjugation. Now humans held positions of respect and authority throughout the Confederation, not because they had conquered or dominated, but because they had chosen restraint and cooperation despite their physical advantages. As the evening progressed, Do-Wan watched humans throughout the gathering. They moved with careful precision around the other species, always mindful of their strength. A human server carried a tray loaded with drinks that would have required a mechanical assist for a Tanil, yet she moved with gentle grace, ensuring nothing spilled as she navigated between groups. "You know what impresses me most about humans?" Do-Wan said to Minji as they watched the cultural performances later that evening. "Not your strength or endurance, remarkable as they are. It's how you've handled that strength. You could have dominated the Confederation through sheer physical capability. Instead, you've become its protectors." Minji smiled. "We never thought of ourselves as particularly strong until we met you. On Earth, we're just normal. It took seeing ourselves through your eyes to understand our unique place in the galaxy." As a joint human Tanil musical ensemble took the stage, humans playing traditional Tanil instruments modified to withstand Earth gravity, while Tanil musicians used specially designed gravity platforms to handle Earth instruments, Do-Wan felt a profound sense of gratitude for that failed gravity shield 5 years ago. What had seemed like disaster had actually been the galaxy's greatest blessing. The moment when humans discovered they were giants among the stars and chose to be gentle ones.